Louisville Metro Police Chief Paul Humphrey joins us live now here at 5 to talk about these cases. Chief, thank you so much for being here. It's been a tough week for the community and for your officers, so we appreciate it coming in to talk about it. Let's talk about this first case of the two mothers. 23-year-old Redaja Williams, a mother walking her child to school who was shot. We now know that was a targeted case. What we don't know, are we closer to an arrest in this case?
So first of all, I want to point out something. I know you described the difference between those two shootings. One is targeted and one is an innocent victim. She is an absolutely innocent victim. There is no justification for what happened to her. What was done in front of her child is just absolutely horrible. So while she might have been targeted, she was just as innocent as anybody else, particularly in that moment when you're walking your 7-year-old to the bus stop. It's absolutely horrible. But in the case, what we need is the same thing in both cases. We need a witness to talk to us. That's how these cases are made. It's community collaboration, and somebody has to be willing to step up and give us that key piece of information so that we can get this person off the street. Your investigator said the surveillance video showed the young man in the red jacket walking up and shooting her. How do we know that wasn't a gang initiation versus? Well, we won't know as far as the motive for the shooting until we have the suspect in custody and get all of the facts of the case together. So, but you can see that this young man just shoots at her out in front of all of these people, and it's one of the worst things that I've seen. It's heartbreaking to see that video. And I know you've talked about it. People had asked why the officers weren't there that day after you had them there for several days. I'm sure it is hard to make that decision. You've got a bus stop all around there. There are thousands of them in the county. They could move anywhere. There's no way of knowing. But with them possibly living in that area since they were younger shooters, shooting their guns off on the first day of school, was there, No, I absolutely wish, hindsight being 50-50, and that doesn't bring somebody's daughter or mother back. I absolutely wish that we had officers out there, and those officers are kicking themselves also. They were in the area, they just weren't right there at that bus stop. And I can't imagine some of the kind of guilt that they feel, knowing that there's a possibility they might have been able to do something and intervene on this before it happened. But I'll also ask not just the community for information, but these two kids that did these homicides, they have parents, they have family members. Somebody needs to turn them in. These cycles of violence are called cycles for a reason, and they are likely to end up dead if you do not turn them in. And so in order to save these kids' lives, somebody needs to do the stand-up thing and turn these boys in. Okay. 28-year-old Jermia Offett, she was the pregnant mother who was killed, believed in gunfire, getting caught in the gunfire, going into a food mart. Where are we with that case? Because you believe that there were those shooting at each other, are there witnesses in that case? What can you tell us? So again, you can tell from the surveillance video that there are several people out there that probably or possibly have the information that we need to get this person off the street. You're talking about another horrible situation where she is minding her own business, nothing to do with whatever conflict these people have going on, and just the blatant disregard for humanity that happens. And our role in this is to make sure that we can bring justice and closure to her family as quickly as possible. All right. Want to ask you about 1 week ago today, we had a mother and her children kidnapped, taken at knife point to a bank. There was a bank robbery. That is someone that your officers arrested on other offenses that were similar. He had a 14-year prison sentence, and then he got out on shock probation. We hear from you all the time, your officers, that this is happening way too often. Your thoughts on that whole situation once we found out that he was released on shock probation? Yeah, so part of what I've talked to officers about is you do your job. Other people in the system have to do theirs. And it has to be a system that functions to keep people safe. And so let's worry about what we're doing on LMPD to make sure that we're functioning to put people behind bars that need to stay behind bars. And then let's give the judges whatever information we can to make sure that they make an appropriate decision. I don't agree with the decision that was made. Obviously, hindsight being 20/20, people mess up. But here's what I'm going to say about this in particular, because that judge is getting death threats. It is absolutely unacceptable in a democracy. It's heinous. She's getting racist threats. She's getting death threats to the point where she is in legitimate fear. That is absolutely not how America works. All right? We have a system. Leave it alone. Talk bad about her, that's fine. Talk about the decision she made, that's fine. You do not threaten a judge's life because of making a decision that you disagree with. That's not how this works.
Absolutely. We also know they're under a lot of pressure. We've heard other judges come out saying, you know, because of the prison system and not enough, you know, room in the jail, things like that, to let people out. But again, this is a different situation. Absolutely right, though. A judge should never be threatened, that's for sure, or anyone else.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in, Chief. We appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right.